Question 11, Don says, the entity looks to the left, indicating that the mind has the tendency to notice more easily the negative catalyst or negative essence of its environment. Would Ra comment on that observation? And Ra says, this is substantially correct. I have a point to make here, which is that you ever notice how we do have that tendency of always looking at the bad things or the negative things or the scary things and so on? It's a mental tendency that we have. So I have my own reflection on this, which is that awareness is fascinated by the illusion, you see? And so it gets lost in that which is not and all those things, and it's really attracted to it. It is its own creation. But think about it and try to rationalize this with me. If awareness is infinite, then experiencing infinity means no experience. So it needs to experience limited things. And infinity is not limited. Therefore, awareness is not finite. And that which it perceives, which is finite, then is not true. It's not true of itself. It's a shadow of itself. It's a falsehood, an inexistence. And so awareness can only fixate itself into those things which is not. But lost in itself, of course, it yearns to go back. And that's the whole process of the original thought. To once you become an entity, you want to return to source. And so there is a yearn for that, and that's what calls for evolution. But evolution can only happen if you're looking at those things that you are not. You see, you can only become whole by rejecting or discerning those things that you are not. In other words, breaking the limitations, realizing the non-division between everything and so on, bringing separation to an end. So, to me, it's interesting that the mind, of course, the mind is the lens through which we explore reality. The mind has a certain tendency to look at negative things. How do we experience this? Well, you know how the news are always focused on the negative things and the bad things that happen, and people get a sort of rush of catecholamines here, of adrenaline and other hormones that get them excited, because the mind is, primed to do that, to look at those things that are negative, that are bad, that could be dangerous and so on. This is a primal instinct, of course, for the human being too. So we have that tendency. And in the experience card, in card number 4, we see the same thing. We are experiencing, we have a tendency more to look at, of course, the negative, because the negative is what will produce, hopefully, the possibility for polarization, that which is not. And that's true for both cases, positive and negative. How do you process that catalyst, which is not negative in and of itself? You see, here's the thing. When we look at, it's very important to make a point, because we tend to associate things wrongly. So please pay attention to this part. That which is not is a part of reality. In other words, darkness needs to exist for light to manifest. Okay? So if that which is not needs to be for the creation to be, then that's not inherently negative. It simply is an element of reality. We have black and white, we have up and down. This duality has been created. And through duality, we can experience reality. Now, duality in and of itself, of course, is not negative. It's just the structure of reality. But the thing is that once we begin to polarize ourselves, we need to use this unreality, right? The illusion, we must use it to polarize ourselves. Here's where me, as the acting persona, the significator, is going to decide. And I'm going to decide that I will move negatively by becoming that which I am not. You see, a separate being. Simple as that. Whereas the positive one would realize that, no, I cannot be a separate being because, well, first, logically, that makes no sense. Infinity cannot be many. And so you recognize the truth of reality, and that leads to actions and behaviors that are of the positive range. So all of this, in the end, makes us decide, how do we want to polarize? Do we want to polarize towards the negative or towards the positive? And yeah, so it's a small point, but we can expand on this for a while. So again, not to be too confused with this whole study, it's very simple. We're looking at those things that invites us to polarize in one way or the other, and we're just looking and dissecting all of this. So again, the entity looks to the left, indicating that the mind has a tendency to notice more easily the negative catalyst. Correction here, because I said that which is not negative, and there's a correction here. There is no negative catalyst. That's just the way Don decided to word it. But he also said, or negative essence of its environment. That's different, you see, because catalyst is just neutral. It is you who decide how to interpret catalyst and make it positive or negative. So very important distinction there. However, he does say negative essence of its environment. And to me, that represents the negative essence is that, again, that which is not. The darkness, the falsehood, separation in practice.